George helped all these people. Anyways, we got Stephen Hill on. What's up, Stephen?
Yo, yo.
Yeah, he's got a Beverly Hills Cop poster in the background.
Yeah, yeah, you know it.
Directed,
I'm trying to figure out how to get this phone to stay still.
Directed by Martin Brest, produced by Jerry Bruckheimer and Don Simpson.
Yeah, I've probably seen that movie about 1,000 times.
Oh man, that movie is just what a great combination. You know, they had a great commercial director who had a great eye. Then you had the powerhouse behind Simpson and Bruckheimer, and then they took a comedian and they took a pretty good script, but they elevated that script so it was like tantalizing visuals, amazing performance by Eddie Murphy. It was funny, action, humor, comedy, all the same thing, all in one, and that became that brand for a long time and changed the film industry.
Yeah, Eddie Murphy made black guys cool again because they got corny for a little while in film. Right. You know, they got real jive. They got real jive, and he made fun of the jive in the movies. You know,
I'm sure, and I'm sure there would have never been a Will Smith. I mean, you know, Will Smith. I'm not gonna say that. That's a bad way to put it, but like, he blazed that trail for the Will Smiths and the Ice Cubes and all those guys, saying, hey, you know what, we can lead a movie, a big action movie, and take the summer and be ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, that's huge. You know, even for me, when I saw Taika Waititi win the Academy Award for Best Screenplay, Best Adapted Screenplay, I cried. That was the first Native Polynesian person to win an Academy Award. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like it's like watching, like, for African American people, it's like watching Black Panther, right?
Yeah.
It's like little Caucasian kids from the South are gonna watch Black Panther and want to be Black Panther. Do you know how much that means for our society as a people?
I know.
That's
pretty dope. So we got this guy as my little. He's my guardian angel. He's like the good angel on my side. Yeah. You know, the good angel. Yeah. So.
Right on, Stephen. While we, before I start getting into some questions, can you just, I guess I'll start off with, tell us, even though that information is available, just can you tell us where you're from, and a little bit about your upbringing, so people can get a little bit of insight. We can lay some foundation about who you are.
No, that's actually a good question. It's out there, but I would imagine it's confusing for some people because you know, they're like, is he from New York or is he from New Jersey? I don't know. So is he from Virginia? So basically, I was born in New York. My parents split up when I was really young, and they moved to Englewood, New Jersey. And when they split up, my dad went back to Harlem, and my mom stayed in Englewood. We stayed in Englewood for a while, and then we moved to South Jersey, a small town called Willingboro. So I rep Willingboro very heavy, very hard, and I also rep Harlem very hard. So I spent all my summers and weekends in Harlem, and I basically grew up in this kind of utopia, this 70% black utopian town in South Jersey.
Wow, man. And so, and give us a little bit of insight about your family, about your parents. You know, what did you? I know. I guess we can get into that later, or if you want to get into that now about, you know, I read about your mother and how, you know, a lot of what you do is for your mother, because you had watched her pass of a terrible disease, and that kind of inspired you. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So after I graduated from college, I had started doing like modeling when I was in college, and I came back home. Modeling wasn't going to pay the bills, so I got a job working at Xerox selling copiers. And after about 2.5 years, almost 3 years of doing that, my mother, she came ill with pancreatic cancer, and she passed away in like a 6-month period. And I just remember when she passed away, I felt like she had an unfinished life. I felt like she had other things that she may have wanted to do, but she didn't get that opportunity. And she would always say, you know, I'm tired of raising kids. I'm so tired of raising kids. And so her life was like working and raising kids. And I felt like she had an entrepreneurial spirit that she wasn't able to follow. So I was like, well, I have that same spirit. So I have to now navigate in a different way so that I can follow my dreams. But I didn't know what my dream was. So I was looking for it, and I had started taking some acting classes, and it turned out to be something that I really loved. I got lucky,
Right.
Found it relatively late, but also early enough to pursue it.
Wow. So
your
mom,
any time, but I kind of, I didn't even know I was going to be an actor until after I graduated from college.
So it kind of found you.
Yeah.
And your mom was kind of inadvertently like a catalyst for you.
Definitely.
Wow.
Definitely.
Wow, man. Everybody's got a motivation that comes from somewhere, right? And that was very pure.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow. Awesome, man. Awesome. Okay. Right on. I think this is pretty good. We got 43 people on here. This is good. Okay. And what is life like growing up in the East Coast? Like what was that? How does that form Stephen Hill as a person, as an actor?
Growing up on the East Coast, I would say I was always surrounded by people I was lucky enough to be around people that were doing it big, right? They were, when I was in Inglewood, there was the Sugar Hill Gang was in Inglewood, right? Oh, it's funny. Eddie Murphy. When I was a kid, Eddie Murphy has a house in Inglewood Cliffs, which is like the rich neighborhood above Inglewood, where a lot of like John Travolta had a place there. And, I don't know if he still has that house, but I remember as a kid knocking on his door. I was with my older sister, and her friends dared me to go knock on the door. They made me go knock on the door. And I remember knocking, and his bodyguard came to the door and said he wasn't there. But I knocked on Eddie Murphy's door when I was like in the 2nd or 3rd grade.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
so, grew up in a place, where you can go and knock on Eddie Murphy's door. You feel like things are possible, right?
Anything's possible.
Yeah. And then in New York, I grew up around Cameron. He was in my neighborhood. Malik Yoba, Damon Dash. They all lived in the same building as me. And then in South Jersey, one of my good friends, Dorsey Wesley. Dorsey was a music producer. I think you met Dorsey on set. He came to set.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, that's right. We had lunch or whatever.
Yep. He produced Bad Boys for Life and some tracks for Nas and track for 50 Cent and Jay-Z and R. Kelly, so he lived on my same street. Also, Wanye Morris from Boyz II Men.
No way.
Yeah, another close friend of mine.
It.
Yeah. Close friend of mine, Ryan Toby. We went to high school together. He ended up forming a group called City High, and then he was on Sister Act when we were both still in high school. So he, when you are, and also Carl Lewis went to my high school.
No way.
He graduated long before I did, but he would come back and practice with us when I ran track. So when you see people like that come around.
You ran with Carl Lewis?
No,
No,
it's
okay,
no,
okay.
there's no such thing as running with Carl Lewis.
Yeah, yeah.
Carl Lewis, when he would come and get on the track with us, oh my God,
Yeah.
running half speed, like you could feel the wind, like you could feel him past you. It
Right.
was amazing. He was like a gazelle. He was like a gazelle. He wasn't a human, you know.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but when you're around people like that, you feel like, hey, it's possible for me to do something big. And I always felt like my life was gonna be me was gonna I was gonna do something extraordinary.
Right.
And I don't know if I've actually done that yet, but I feel like I'm on my way at
No,
least.
but that has a lot to do with it, you know. I mean, you know, belief in oneself is so contagious.
Yeah,
My grandmother, God bless her soul, my grandmother always used to tell me that I was special. And I don't know if that's a good thing to tell people or
yeah, yeah,
children, but she always said, you're special, Fairai, and you have something, and you're going to do something great one day. You know what I mean? And just that idea that was burned into my head has always been with me. And I believe in that no matter, I don't know what it is, you know what I mean? And that belief
yeah.
in oneself it's everything, man, you know?
And you know, I believe we're all special, but it's just a matter of tuning into it. You know,
Right. Of course.
um, yeah,
Yeah, I truly believe that. I also want to say, if anybody has any questions, please, you know, just hit back in the comments. If you have any questions for Steven, just hit us back in the comments and we will answer those, or he will answer those. Sorry. Whenever we have a second. It's so funny. It's so funny. This is a quick thing. I used to steal. I used to go to school at Pacific Palisades, and I used to steal Steven Spielberg's trash. We would go up to his house, and I would stare at his house, and then sometimes I'd see the trash, and I'd be like, I'm gonna go take his trash just to like see if there was like, you know, just a piece of Steven. I'm sure this is not good to say on live social media because it's probably very illegal. So don't do that. But
yeah,
it just reminds me of that. Okay. Okay. So tell us about the beginning. You know, that's as close as I got to Steven Spielberg in my life. I actually heard him say action on. I went on the set of War of the Worlds and I heard him say action. I almost fainted.
yeah, yeah. That's
Crazy.
funny.
And now, of course, we work with people that are very close to him, like Gary Himes, and you know, but you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
but anything's possible, and I like that, and I like, you know, for everybody who's listening to this, of course, we have 54 viewers on here right now, but you know, this will be recorded and shared and seen, you know, way past our lifetime. So it's good, you know, surround yourself with positive people, surround yourself with people that are going in the same direction, and you latch on to each other, and you'll all go there together. Or I mean, now we have social media and the internet, so now I mean, anything is possible. We live in the most exciting time in human history for people to have access to their dreams. You know, anything is at your reach if you're willing to work for it. I truly believe in that, you know?
yeah. And you know, as far as like followers and or whatever, you know, I feel like quality is better than quantity. You know, and we just live in a time when eyeballs are everywhere, you know, and everybody can get a piece of the attention pie. You know, you don't have to just be on television. You know, you can be a teacher and finally get someone to listen to you other than at a parent-teacher conference. You know, you can, you know, bake cookies and, you know, give a cookie baking class or whatever it is that you do. Um, you know, you don't have to just be an actor to get a bunch of attention these days. So, you know, kudos
Truly.
to, you know, there's a bunch of lives going on, probably 3,000 different lives going on, maybe more than that, you know, right now. So, you know,
It's true. It's true. And we don't, you know, pop culture isn't really what pop culture used to be now. Pop culture is really me culture, right? It's all about you culture. You know what I mean? So it has shifted from what the middleman, which would be like large corporations or brands telling you what to do. Now it's to individuality, and it's to you know, people being themselves, and then people being attracted by that, and you know, you follow some random guy on the or some you know, some little girl in a basement in New Jersey or Detroit can make a song and become a pop star now. You know, it's an exciting time, and that is actually what I wanted to do for this show. You know, I find so much value in listening to interviews from people I don't know and things that I'm interested in, and that's the kind of thing. You know, as I drive, I just listen to interviews, and it keeps me motivated, and it keeps me going. You know, and I hope that with your insight and your advice today, that you can do the same. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of people out there that that are trying to get somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, we have a question from Darren 808, which is Darren Fujimori, I think. What's up? My question, I always like to ask my industry friend, can you tell me about your grind when you first got into the business? What did you do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis? Which is one of my questions, so it's perfect.
So for me, I actually said something similar to this earlier, but you know, being in New York was a blessing for me because New York is a very fast-paced city, and there's always something going on. There's always some way you can get involved. So for me, early on, I pretty much just I said no to very little things. You know, I would, you know, and I still kind of, you know, maybe I shouldn't put that out there, but I still try to not say no to a stage reading or any kind of script reading. I just feel like that's like going to the gym for an actor, you know, whether it's a good script or a bad script. If I have the time, I'm in there, you know, because I love to hear a script with everyone, you know, because I can hear it differently as opposed to just me like reading it for myself. Even when we get to do a read through with my cast on this show, I love doing that way more than just me reading the script myself. I can just hear more of it. I can see more of the colors of it. And I try to do that as often as I can. But early on, I barely ever said no to a reading. I did a lot of short film, a lot of student film. And then, you know, as petrified as I was, you know, when it came time to get on that stage, I got on that stage when I could, you know, if there was a play and I booked the role, then, you know, I took advantage of that, you know.
Right.
We actually got a brother in here right now. I saw him, my boy, he goes by Shadow Flack on here, but my boy Rob Morgan. We both used to work across the street from one another. When I worked at Xerox, he worked at Bear Stearns across the street. And we didn't even know each other, but we used to always be like, black man, you know what I mean? Right. So Rob, you should definitely look him up. And if you could interview him, you should. Absolutely. He's an awesome actor, and he's killing. Actually, he has a film, and this is what I'm about, honestly. And we got to do more of this. We have to start to promote one another. It can't just be about me every time we get a chance. So I need to tell y'all right now that Rob, you know, I could just sit here and talk about Magnum PI all day. With the show was on tonight, you know, so, you know, by all means, tune in. But I'm looking forward to Rob's film that just came out called Bull, I think it's called, right, Rob?
Rob, put the information in the comments so we can look it up.
Yeah,
if you don't mind.
Yeah, he's in there with a really dope actress that I did a reading with, named Yolanda Ross. So looking forward to seeing that. Right
on, man. Yeah, I mean, that's a great piece of advice. My father would say the same thing. My dad, he says no to nothing almost. He always says, you know, I'm available and I work cheap. You know,
yeah.
And a lot of those jobs that he did for a very low rate, you know, it's like I think Al Pacino says the same thing, right? He says one thing always leads to another thing. So, you know, if you're at home and you're doing nothing, doing something is better than doing nothing and sitting on the couch waiting for the phone to ring, you know? So that's always my thing too, you know, is just, is one thing always leads to another thing and helping people. That's major, right? Like you said, like the more you help people, that's you know, that's the best thing you could possibly do for yourself and for that person. So
Yeah, I gotta say, I don't want to forget to tell you this, man. It is an honor to come on as your second guest, second only to your dad. That's a super honor.
right on,
And
man.
yo, man, your dad is like, you know, his credits are crazy. He's you know, he's trying to give Sam Jackson a run for his money. You know what I
Uh,
mean? Between the two of them, I think they took every job in Hollywood at some
uh,
point.
you know what's interesting thing about my dad is that my dad always gives his respect to the to the black actors um, of the 1970s that started the movement of affirmative action, right? If it wasn't for these guys like, I forget who it is, like Henry Kenji and a lot of other guys that were in the Black Stuntmen's Union, they started the ball rolling for colored guys to get in. And my dad and a bunch of other guys, I think like Tommy Rosales and a bunch of other guys, and like Jimmy Ortega, it paved the way for those stunt guys. All these guys I'm mentioning are like legends in the stunt industry. It paved the way for those guys. Had it not been for the black actors and that union, my dad would have had a hard time succeeding in this business. So he always credits that. Like, had it not been for them, we wouldn't be here. You know what I mean? Because they were pushing really, really, really hard for that. We have another question, and I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. My dad is my idol. I know the same with you, man. I was just saying this. We were, my dad, I would watch my dad struggle as a youngster. You know, my dad was working flipping burgers in Venice, doing extra work, and then like doing all these side hustles, bouncing at gyms and all this stuff, and then taking acting classes, and then doing whatever stunt work and acting gigs he could get, and he hustled. And I remember he was hustling, and then I remember the day that he got this show called Renegade. We were all praying in my grandmother's room, and then he got it, and that kind of like was a springboard for him. And he's had a very good run, and super grateful for that. We have a question from I See You See Me. Steven, what is your advice for a struggling actor, filmmaker to make it in the industry?
Change your language from struggling. Take that out. You know, I don't know what adjective you might want to add to that, but don't say you're a struggling actor. Just say you're a working actor. You know, or I don't also try to not to say grind. I had stopped saying that a while back. You know, I'm on my grind. You know, it's like, you don't want to grind. You don't want an engine to grind, right? If your engine is grinding, something's wrong. You want it to run smoothly, you know. So try to think of words that empower you, as opposed to make your mind see the world as an obstacle, you know. Instead, make it so that your mind sees the world as your like Play-Doh, where you play with it and you form it. And one of the things that had always empowered me in times when I just felt like, damn, I can't go any further, or if I felt defeated in any way, I would read or listen to specific books. You know, anything that dealt with metaphysical stuff, where it basically told me that my life is because of my thoughts, and my thoughts are because my actions are because of my thoughts, and that's why my life is the way it is. It basically gave me, it empowered me again. So one of the main books that I just recently listened to again is As a Man Thinketh.
Oh yeah, I love that book.
Yeah, that's one of those you can read it once a week, you know, or at least try to revisit it every quarter or so, and you know, just use things that will keep you motivated. And you know, some people are motivated by other things, but just beware of being motivated by, especially in this business, by other actors, because it's enough to be motivated by yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. Great book. They even have a pocket version that you can just keep in your pocket,
Yeah.
or now you can just look it up on your phone. Hello.
Yeah.
Okay. I have some other questions from the audience, but I'm gonna ask you a few more, and then I'll ask these. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about. Yeah, I mean, how do you stay motivated in your daily life? How did you stay motivated back in the days when you were like navigating the world of plays, television, movies, working side jobs or whatever it was? How do you keep that dream alive, and how do you keep from getting so bogged down? By like looking. For me, I would see a lot of my friends succeeding. And then I would my perspective would be like, God, damn, like, dang it, you know what I mean? Like, how when's gonna be my time? And then I would think to myself, you know what, Fairai? That guy, like, that is a representation of somebody that and how possible it actually is. You know what I mean? And so I turned my jealousy into fuel and opportunity and possibility. How about for yourself? If you could give some insight to the viewers about that and about your motivation.
I always felt like whenever I saw someone else succeed, that I was generally always happy for people. I think everyone has a bit of jealousy to them. But that's very weak. That's a very weak human emotion that you have to overcome, right?
Right.
So, and just on the other side,
it's a soul sickness.
Yeah, just on the other side of it, as soon as you overcome it, it's like you can genuinely claps of someone else. And I feel like when you do that, you open up doors for yourself as well. So I've always wanted to applaud others. But, there are plenty of people that you'll come across that, don't want to necessarily see you succeed.
Very much so.
And, it's too bad for them. You know what I mean? Because, honestly, I think if we work together, we don't even have to be working on the same project, but I do feel like people could work together. But you'd be surprised in this business. It's so catty. It's a lot of people aren't very we talking real here. So I don't want to just make everything fluffy, but
no, please.
A lot of people in this business do not wish you to do well. And it's easy to see them. Right? You can see them unfollow you. You can see them, never comment on anything, that you never ever say a positive comment, and then come in when they want to say something negative. They're always there. You can, people show really bad poker players. I feel like people that are envious or jealous are really bad poker players, and that emotion shows on them in their actions very easily. And,
right.
You just can't get caught up in their shit. You just got to keep doing what works for you. And when you're, you don't even necessarily have to be getting paid a lot of money, but you can stay busy to where you don't have time to think about that. When you got a script and you got to learn these lines for a play, you don't have time to think about this guy that doesn't want you to do well. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I would just say, keep yourself busy. I used to hang out in Barnes and Noble all the time in New York. I still do it here. There's plenty of stuff to read. I got so many books that I want to read. And, I'm taking this time with this coronavirus thing going on to get in better shape. I'm working out every day. I'm walking like 10 miles a day listening to audiobooks.
I see you out there.
Yeah, but I will, yeah, we ran into each other, right? But I will say, you know, it bothers me sometimes when, you know, it just bothers me, not that people act a certain weird way toward you. It bothers me that I just know in my heart that we could all get much further ahead if we just work together. And we put that envy and jealousy, weak human emotion shit aside. Because I have people that are very close to me that I don't hear from. I have people that were right there at the beginning of my journey that never said, "Hey, congratulations on Magnum PI."
Yeah.
Instead, they unfriended me. You know, and it's like, come on, man, we can't be doing stuff like that, man. You know what I mean? Like, it's quite ridiculous.
Yeah.
So you never know.
But it's, I mean, you know, it's, I think it's deep rooted. It comes from that deep rooted place of, that's my toy, that's my mommy, that's my daddy. You know, it's territorial, and then all of a sudden they think, oh, that was my part. You know, that was me, or whatever, and that is something that is a learned behavior of human behavior, and it's unfortunate. I think it's very. I think we've all been through that, and I think I follow this guy Gary Vaynerchuk, and he has a lot of advice about that, and he talks a lot about, you know, like, once you start seeing the competition as collaboration, and trying to collaborate with people instead of compete, you know, then you'll start to see the world in a different way, and if those people are you got to pray for those people. On the flip note, though, I think healthy competition is great. I mean, you know, like and I'll be quick about this, but like back in the 1970s, when the new revolution of Hollywood started with Spielberg, Francis Ford Coppola, Martin Scorsese, Brian De Palma, George Lucas, they had each other, you know, and they would try to outdo each other all the time, and they would help each other. But because of that healthy competition with each other, of like trying to wow each other all the time and trying to blow each other out of the water, it only made those films so much better and so much more daring. You know what I mean? So I think some competition in that way is good. You know, if you're playing basketball against guys that aren't as good as you, you're not going to be that good. But if you're playing ball with guys that are killers and monsters, then you know, so when guys see you say, fuck, Steven's killing it, he's doing it big, blah blah blah, hopefully that can motivate them to hustle and do it big, and you know what I mean. I think that's good.
Yeah, I think the only danger is, you know, our minds are very competition oriented, because we're very sports centric, like just world, you know, where there's so much is about like my team versus your team versus my hometown versus your hometown, that sort of thing. You know, we saw that early in the early 90s with like West Coast versus East Coast hip hop, and unfortunately, you know, that competition became too much, and we lost Biggie and we lost Tupac to
casualties,
right? To absolute foolishness, right? Two talented brothers that are gone now because, you know, they had the talent, and all the other people around them that didn't have the talent were the ones that ended up
right.
Either of them, right? But I think the true competition in almost anything in life is yourself, you know.
Absolutely.
So it is good to have a healthy motivation and competition with people or things outside of yourself, but you always got to come back to self before you lay your head to bed at night. And when you get up in the morning, you got to know that you are trying to be your best self.
Right. Yeah, running a race with yourself.
Not going to be better than this guy. You know, I can't be Eddie Murphy. You know what I mean? I'm just not going to be him. Eddie Murphy is Eddie Murphy. I'm going to be the best Stephen Hill I can be.
There you go. I love it. Okay, got some other questions. Any aspirations to play a superhero?
Yeah.
This is from our audience. I think this is from ICU See Me. I'm not sure. I'm just writing them down.
Okay. Yeah, I would love that. You know, uh, there's one comic book. I like comics. I was showing them earlier my comic book collection, a small bit of comics that I bought here. Some really cool comic book stores here in Hawaii. One of them is Other Realms.
Yeah, my friend works there. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's one over closer to the studio in Diamond Head by Diamond Head.
Love that one. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty cool. But you know, there's this old school comic that I still have the #1 issue called Brother Man. So, you know, that's not a Marvel situation, but you know, who knows? Maybe I could be Brother Man.
Right.
I'm Brother Man anyway. I feel like I'm Brother Man every day. But you know, that would be a cool one. And you know, I feel like we're starting to run out of characters in the Marvel universe. But you know, if I could get on the set of a Black Panther, man, I would love that. Just for the nostalgia and the history of it.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll get there, bro. You'll get
But
there.
I was in Luke Cage. I
saw that.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's unfortunate that they canceled all those shows. I don't know what the deal with all that was.
My boy Rob was the Rob that I was telling you about. He's like the only actor in all of them.
Oh, no way. Right on.
He plays a character named Turk Barrett.
Right on. Big ups to Rob Morgan. That's Shadow Flag, right?
Yeah, Shadow Flag. Yeah, right dope.
Another question that people asked was, do you have any aspirations to direct?
I do actually. There's a lot of work involved in that, and
yes, there is.
I'm one of those. I can easily get caught up doing a million things at one time, so I'll try to do one at a time. So I'm like, okay, let me get another season of this TC thing in. But I think I'm gonna start directing little small stuff here and there. You know,
right on.
With a short and start with some content for social media and go from there.
Right on. And then Fire Animus Robin has a question about, this is a tricky one, but well, how do you get an agent?
I spent the first 6 years thinking they were just going to come out of nowhere, right? Not an easy thing to do necessarily. But I was doing all of these film festivals, and I felt like an agent is going to find me at one of these festivals, right? I just knew it. I was just like, why wouldn't they come to the festivals? But the truth is, a lot of them do not. You know, they have a roster, and they're just trying to get work for the people in their roster, right? So to get on another agent's roster is pretty tough. So you can be referred. That's probably the best way. Remember Joe Morton, the actor, Joe Morton. You know Joe Morton? He stuck his neck out for me once. Yeah, he set up a meeting for me and his agent once, but it didn't happen. You know, I didn't get to sign with the guy, but that was just awesome that Joe Morton actually. You guys, if you don't know who he is, you should look him up. He's actually on the
Terminator. Terminator 2.
Terminator, yeah, with the bomb in his. Yeah.
Dyson or whatever.
Yeah, he was also. It's funny because when I bought this poster, I ended up buying this instead of Brother from Another Planet, because that's kind of how I feel in Hawaii sometimes. I feel like a brother from another planet. I'm just a little Papolo walking around here, invisible Papolo. But you know, he tried to hook me up, but that didn't work out. But one day after a short, my first agent approached me after seeing the short, and I was super loyal to her because I was waiting for years for somebody to do that. Wow. And she showed up at a short, and I couldn't believe it. But I would say, one, you gotta have something to show to them.
Exactly.
So You know, you can't just show up and be like, hey, I want to be an actor and get an agent. It doesn't work like that. You do have to do some work first.
Right.
Unless you just already have some nepotism going on, possibly. You just are that beautiful that they just feel like you can, you know, and that is very possible these days. You might come to them with 1 million followers on Instagram and you've never acted in anything, but they might think those followers are going to translate into ticket
Dollars.
sales, you know?
Yeah.
So, but I would say is it Actors Connection? I know they have that in New York, and I think they have it in LA. You can go to Actors Connection. You can look up like classes, and then sometimes the agents will be there, and you can audition for a round of agents at one time. You know,
Right.
and typically, you know, sometimes they're bigger agents, but there are a lot of times they're like a smaller agent at the agency that might be looking for some people, and you can get in there.
Right on. Okay, so we got about 15 minutes left.
Oh,
Want to get into Magnum. Nick Kickstand, my friend Nick Masangelo, he is writing in. He's a great actor. He is writing in. Who was the first person you called to tell that you booked Magnum, and how did you feel when you got that call?
First person I called, I think,
And
was my dad.
what was that process like? I know this is a lot of questions in a short amount of time, but if you can explain for everybody the kind of that process and you know story.
Uh, so I had already had a different job, a gig on NBC. Um, so I had a gig on NBC called Manifest, right? And I was just very happy to have that possible recurring role on Manifest. And so I got the call at like at 10:30 in the morning for, hey, we want to bring you in for Magnum PI. And I was like, I don't know, Magnum PI? What? The old school show? Like, that's crazy. All right, cool. I'll go in. Um, and I went in for the audition that afternoon. And I remember being at the gym that night, and I was really still happy to have the NBC show. But I remember being at the gym, and I was on the treadmill, and I said to myself, "Why would they bring me in for that Magnum PI? You know they're not gonna bring me. They're not gonna hire me for that. Why are they wasting my time?" But I stopped my own negative thinking right in that moment. I remember the moment when I said, "Why not me, though? Why not me?" Like, you don't
Right.
say that about yourself, Steve. And you know, I was feeling good. I had the endorphins running, you know, going through my body from being on the treadmill. And I went to get dressed, and I was walking out of the gym, and I got the phone call, and
Woo!
they were like, stand by the phone. We might have good news for you. And I actually thought they were going to say that the other show wasn't going to be a possible recurring, it was going to be recurring. That's what I thought. So then I rushed to my lady friend's house. I get there, and she was like, "What's going on?" I was like, "Yo, just hold on, like, wait, I might get this call, you know." And I got the call, and they were going to Hawaii. And I was like, "What?"
No way.
And then, you know, I was still holding on to the other one. I'm like, "Wait a minute, but what about Manifest?" You know, because I had already done a table read and met the cast and the director, and I'm like, "Yo, it did this fitting and everything," and I'm like, how can I do this? Like, that doesn't make sense, and whatever, you know. And they were like, "Don't worry about that. We already took care of it. They know that you have a much bigger role now, so they're fine with that." You know what I mean? And 2 days later, I was here in Hawaii for the first time, ready to shoot the pilot.
Wow. And
Yeah.
give us some, as we end here, give us some insight onto Magnum, the experiences, any funny stories. You know, obviously it's been, you know, living in Hawaii, the whole, just give us some insight and, you know, if you got anything funny to talk. I personally wanted to ask you stories about Kerry Fukunaga and, you know, working with, you know, Ivan Reitman, but I think we should end with Magnum.
Okay. Kerry was dope. He was real cool and very much to himself, but he was a good dude and gave me an awesome opportunity. And I remember the writer on that asking me, "You're not nervous to do a scene with Emma Stone?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Nah." And he was like, "Dude, she's like really big. Like she's like the biggest female actress." And I was like, she's super cool. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
remember one day I was just standing there, she ran up to me and gave me a hug for no reason. I was like,
Right.
"Hey, what's up?" You know?
Right.
But yeah, as far as Magnum, you want to
Yeah.
know
Well, what
what?
is it like, man? What is it like being on set and going to make a show in Hawaii
Hey,
and
man.
working with Peter Lankoff and Brian Spicer and all these
Um,
legends, and Peter Weller and Jay Hernandez, Perdita Week, Zach Knight, and Amy Hill. I mean, you guys. I
the
mean,
beauty,
what a
the
crazy
beauty,
cast that show has.
the beauty of working on this show
Ferrari
one is Hawaii has this like, that whole aloha spirit is
and the
beautiful.
crew. Yeah.
Um, the crew is really cool. And, when you leave, it's not like other places where you disperse, right? And go wherever it is that you go. Here, it's like, okay, I'm done for the day. I'm going home and I'm going a few miles and we're all going to the same neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's almost like when you're a kid and you grow up with your friends after school, you go home and all your friends are the same kids you grew up with on the same block,
Right.
right? So you kind of get a little taste of that here, and it makes us very close because literally, I remember I'll tell you guys a really cool story.
Yeah. Tell us the
First
story.
first season. And Jay loves this. He just found this to be so. It was like it touched like the inner child in him or something. I had finally moved out with Jay and Zach because they let me stay there when I first got here because I didn't have any cash. I was waiting on that first paycheck. But I moved out and I could see from my lanai, my little balcony, I could see their place. So we would take our phones and turn the flashlight part on, and we'd do like a little fake Morse code. And, that was just something that's really silly that we would do every night, but it'd be like, hey, like somebody would call you, like, yo, look out your window. And we'd be like, that's just a very silly story, but it just kind of points out just how childish we can be and just really close friends. And I will fall asleep anywhere. They know that. They all tease me about that. I love a good nap. And I mean, it doesn't matter. It could be absolute mayhem in the house. And I'll be on the couch, but I'll wake up and somebody would always put a blanket on me. Jay or Dak or Purdy, somebody would put a blanket on me. And I'd wake up in the middle of the night and then I'd like hop on a biggie bike and ride home or I'd walk home, whatever. Yeah.
Right on. Right on. And what is the I don't know, what has the experience been like? Doing this show in Hawaii. I know when we look back on these times, or when you look back on these times, these will be the really great times. I mean, Hawaii, in my opinion, Hawaii has. I'm gonna say, just because I work here, but we have the best crews. Because we work in the most extreme conditions ever, and we all love each other, and we all just there's an aloha spirit here, right? We're all one big family. I guess the question is, I guess I don't know if you already answered it, but is there anything else you could say just about working in Hawaii on Magnum and what the experience has been like for you?
It's really beautiful. I sometimes wish my dad, my brother, my sisters, I wish they lived in like Cali, so they would be a little closer. Going back home to New York and New Jersey is that could be tough. And then just for me, I'm living a dream. I would say the biggest challenge for me though, just matters of the heart and just trying to tackle loneliness here. You know, it can get lonely sometimes.
Right.
But I feel like I'm at a point in my life where that lonely is going to be very beneficial for the rest of my life. You know, it's
Right.
going to set me on a path where I am putting myself on the path as opposed to being nudged or pushed onto any kind of path by anyone else. I'm allowed the time to myself to put myself on a path that's going to, you know, propel me and be great for myself and my family and loved ones in the future.
That's a really good point, you know, and I'm glad that you said that. It's a really good thing, you know, people's perspective of actors, and they think they live, you know, like in this mythological world, but it can be a lonely hustle sometimes, and you know, and we all as human beings, we're all the same, and we all experience pain, and I commend you for being transparent about that. My girlfriend is sitting here. She just came out here. She has a question. What is your question?
If he could play any character from any movie ever,
if you could play any character from any movie, what would it be? Movies that exist, or dream roles.
I would probably be like a Jedi, like Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
Definitely some kind of Jedi would be awesome. I would love to wield a lightsaber, and you know, outside of Sam Jackson, there hasn't been very many people, you know. So I feel like there might be some room for a black Jedi. You know, I think there is.
It's true. It is true.
Yeah.
Right on. We're about 2 minutes away. I guess, can we end the show with you know, any motivation for anybody anywhere? Can you just give them secrets to how you any advice or motivation that you can give to people that are hustling going towards something, you know, going after something or whatever?
Keep going, right? And honestly, be careful of the people that you have around you. You know, just know, you know, sometimes you can't really help who's around you, you know, because you can't help when you have to be around your family members. But you can keep your thoughts, your innermost thoughts to yourself and in key points. You know, you don't have to open yourself up to someone that you know has been proven to squash your dream or to squash your what it is that you're trying to do or your ideas. So you don't have to always share with everyone. You know, it's okay to be private, you know. But keep going, you know, because there are times, and look back. I would say just look back on your life and you can see the patterns. You can see the pattern of like how you start to go down this road or how you start to go down that road. You know, hindsight is a great teacher, you know, so see your patterns, and if you need to break those patterns and those molds, then break them. But if they're good patterns and molds, then keep using them and know that if you had an opportunity back there, there's definitely going to be an opportunity coming up.
Right.
Yeah.
Learning from lessons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
But keep going. Keep going.
Yeah. In Hawaiian, we call that imua, which is
to
keep moving. Always keep moving.
Imua.
Yeah. Right on, man. I mean, and on the flip note, we have 1 minute and 20 seconds left. On the flip note, if you happen to have people that are negative in your life, like I've had some of those people, I use those people, the haters that hate. I just go, you know what? Watch me. I'm gonna thank you for your hate and watch me, because when I'm in that darkest of times and I feel like giving up, I use that hate. Go, no, I'm gonna fucking show that guy. I have to succeed because I gotta show that guy. You know what I mean? So that can also be very, very useful as well. Stephen Hill, I just want to thank you. You're the man, dude. You know, I from the first moment I met you, I just felt like you were just a real down to earth, awesome, humble, hardworking man. And I'm sure your mother is smiling down on you every day and so proud of you. And we are.
I need her guidance. I need her guidance. I hope so, because I definitely need her guidance. So.
Oh, I know it, my man. And we are all supporting you. We all got mad love for you, and very proud of you, and excited to watch the rest of your journey. I'm sure, you know, big things are ahead are in your future. So I'm just, you know, God bless you, my man. Thank you so much again.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you.
Bless.